If you're thinking about buying a second home, you may be asking yourself, what are some of the pros and cons about actually renting out that home to help cover the mortgage? But more than that, I want to take you through the top 3 questions I get on an almost daily basis as it pertains to vacation rentals themselves. Make sure you stick around to the end. I'm going to start with number 3, get to number 1, and you don't want to miss that. Let's go. Now, real quickly, before I dive in, there's a lot that you have to consider before you even get to this point. But one of the things that I want you to focus on and think about, an imaginary sliding scale. On one hand, there's strict investor. On the other, it's personal use only. When people buy a second home, they usually fall somewhere on that sliding scale, sometimes at either end. But you need to understand and figure out where you are on that scale, because how you approach your purchase, what you think about, the questions you ask yourself, wholly depends on where you are on that scale and what's important to you specifically. So with that out of the way, number 3, when people are buying a vacation home, sometimes there's rental leases already in place. And the question I often get about that is, can I get out of those leases, or can I even increase the rent that the previous owner had asked for and agreed to and still maintain that lease? Now, I have to say, I am no attorney here. Every lease is drawn up differently and it depends on the language within the lease. But here in Ocean City, most of the rentals are done through a rental agency. And those rental agency contracts try to be as fair as possible to both sides. And as such, it's very hard to get out of those leases. Once they're signed, the deposit is deposited, you can't really do a whole lot to wiggle your way out of those leases. So if you're interested in a home and you're looking for personal use only, you're going to be stuck with those leases. Now, you will get to collect the income. Those leases get assigned at closing. All the monies are deposited into your account that were deposited into the seller's account. We can talk about that in another video, but the short version is it's very hard to get out of those leases. So don't expect the ability to do that, but make sure you at least ask the question of the agent you're working with. They should be able to run that down for you and figure it out. Now, number 2 is a big one, and this is a financially driven question. Can my rental income in Ocean City specifically cover my mortgage and even give me some cash flow? Now, I've addressed this in other videos, but the short version is, in Ocean City, unless you're paying cash, it's pretty tough to get a good positive return, or ROI, that would compare, especially in today's market when you have 5% T-bills, savings accounts, and other alternative investments. It's pretty hard for the income alone to beat that. Now, that said, Ocean City is an appreciation market. And when you're looking at second homes or vacation markets or any market period, again, another sliding scale of, is it an income and cash flow producing market, or is it an appreciating market? It's very rare that you have both. Now, in Ocean City, there are cases where you can get cash flow on day one. They're hard to find, but they do exist. And you get to partake in the appreciation that has historically happened here over time. So again, you need to understand what your goals and objectives are, whether you're looking at Ocean City or somewhere else. But it's important for you to have proper expectations. I don't want you to get into this thinking that you're going to be making tens of thousands of dollars within your first year, plus get free vacation and have your mortgage paid for. It's simply unlikely to happen. But if that's important to you and you're looking for those types of properties, feel free to reach out. I do track them very closely, as I have a lot of clients who that is their goal, to have a free vacation at some point in the future, have their property paid down by rental income. So I'm very familiar with this, but I'd be happy to help you out if that's what you're looking for. Now, you may be thinking, if that's number 2, what the heck is number 1? And this one is an interesting one. And honestly, I'm thinking of solving for this myself. But the question I get most frequently is, what is the most hands-off way to manage my vacation rental? I've covered this again in different ways in past videos, but I'm going to give you a brief summary here. There are a couple different ways you can handle this. You can do it all yourself. If you are a go-getter, you want control, that is your best option. There's an intermediate option where VRBO, Airbnb, OCNJ, Shore Summer Rentals, there's a bunch of these platforms that will take some of the work of obtaining the tenants and scheduling everything for you, but a lot of the work still is on you, on checking in for tenants, on coordinating cleanings. If there's a problem, it's got to come through you, the owner, and some people simply don't want that. So what they think they should do is go with the most popular option, and that is working with a rental agency here on the island. Now, the commission structures, the fees will vary, and I'm sure you can imagine if you're doing it yourself, that's going to be the lowest fee structure and lowest expense to you, but it's going to take more time. The agency route is the highest fee expense. That typically comes in between 12 and 15%. But where people go wrong with expecting and setting their expectations too high on these rental agency relationships, they expect full-blown property management, and that's simply not what you're going to get when you work with a rental agency. They're going to be responsible for finding tenants, for advertising, for handling funds, and for handling any issues, along with checking tenants in and out. In the past, that check in and check out was very important. You don't want to have to come down here and drop keys off and collect keys. That is a pain in anybody's butt. But with the technology that we have today, with keyless entry, that you can scramble locks and codes from your phone via Wi-Fi, that's not as big of a value as it used to be. So where this imaginary best case scenario option is a full-blown property management offering that will handle booking cleanings for you, handle phone calls, handle everything that you need, but at a reasonable price. In most markets, you're looking at upwards of 20+% of rental income for a service like that. That's very steep, especially with the type of income that some of these properties bring in, where you're $100,000+. To pay 20+ grand for that digs a big hole into your pocket and into your bank account. So there isn't a huge solution that I have for that at the moment. I'm working on it, but it may take some time. If you have any ideas though, or if you're interested and have done something or seen something that worked in a different market, I'm all ears. Please let me know what you think, if you have thoughts on what you would want to see in a service like that, because again, it's a hole in the market right now. And if I can find a solution to fill that for you and anybody else out there who may be a homeowner or wants to become an owner here in Ocean City and rent out their property, that is what I strive to do. So with that out of the way, that is the top 3 questions along with their answers in detail that I get on a routine basis. I really hope you found that helpful. That is a lot of the stress that people feel when they're trying to make this decision. If I can alleviate that in any way, I'd be more than happy to. Simply drop a question or a comment down below, or you can reach out to me directly any of the ways you see down in the description. So thanks as always for hanging out with me. I'll see you on the next video.